Hey guys, alright, so we just had a quiz, the last thing before break, and now we're going to start on the next lesson. Your next quiz is going to have 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, and 2.8 on it. We're going to start talking about expressions today. So, you've seen an expression probably before, you just didn't know what it was, so we're going to talk about that. Make sure that, as usual, if you have a question, just pause the video and raise your hand and I can come help you out. Make sure that you're writing down everything that I'm writing down and make sure that you are following along. When I write things in the margins, a lot of you have been missing those things and usually they're very helpful to have. It's usually helpful information that you normally end up asking me questions. So let's talk about parts of an expression. Now, most of you know what a variable is because we've talked about it when we did translating expression. Remember, a variable is something that has a letter that represents a number. So a variable is a letter that represents a value. Okay? So variable terms are any terms that have a variable in it. So if I look here, I'm going to underline terms with variables in it once. So I've got 3 terms with variables. So in this expression, 9x minus 2 plus 16x plus 8 minus x plus 10, I've got the variable terms are 9x, 16x, and this is important, this is a subtraction sign, and what you're going to learn is subtraction and negative signs go hand in hand. There's a reason for this. It won't make it different in your answer. It's a negative x is the same thing as saying 8 minus x. So when we put this, when we label this expression, we're going to actually, this term, we're going to do negative x. Now, this is important. There isn't a number in front of this x. What's really there is a 1. So if it helps, we don't usually put it, but if it helps you to put negative 1x, then do that. Okay? Now, a constant term is any term without a variable, so just a number. And I'm going to underline constant terms twice. So my constant terms are this 2, this 8, and this 10. So under this little bubble, I'm going to write negative 2, 8, and 10. Remember, that subtraction sign goes with that negative 2. Now, coefficients. Coefficients I'm going to underline 3 times. Coefficients are the number that's next to a variable. So for example, with 9x, the coefficient is going to be 9. So 9, 16. Remember, it's the number next to the variable. So this negative x is really negative 1. So that would be the coefficient for this. Now make sure, like I said, that if you have questions, you're going to pause it. Now, what we're going to do next is really simple. We're just going to identify the parts of each of these expressions. So let's look at number 1. The variable terms, I'm going to underline once. My variable terms are 8a and 2a. Make sure that your answers are separated by a comma. Constant terms are just remember, go back to the definition, terms without a variable. I underlined those twice, so it's going to be negative 3. Remember that subtraction goes with it. And my coefficients, or the numbers next to variables, are 8 and 2. Okay, circle number 2. Move on to number 3. For number 3, I've got negative 19a plus 2b minus 10 plus 6a. My variable terms, I'm going to underline once. Now, you might have more than one variable. Here we've got more than one variable. We've got a and b, but those still count as variable terms. So I'm going to write negative 19a, 2b, and 6a. Now the only constant term I have is this negative 10. And the coefficients, or the numbers next to my variables, are negative 19, 2, and 6. Skip number 4. Go ahead and circle it. Move on to number 5. Okay, number 5. or excuse me, number 4 is 15m plus n minus 7m. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to underline my variable terms, which is 15m, n or 1n, and negative 7m. My constant term is just 9, and my coefficients, this is important, is 15. Remember, there's an imaginary 1 in front of that n. 1 and negative 7. If you're missing that 1, you're going to lose points, so make sure that you understand where that 1's coming from. So anything that doesn't have a variable has got a 1 in front of it. There's an imaginary 1. And it doesn't matter what the variable is. It's supposed to be an n. All right, now moving on to number 6. I'm skipping number 5, moving on to number 6. So I'm going to underline my variable terms, which I've got 3 of. So I've got 7x, negative 9y, and x, or 1x. Don't forget there's a 1 there. My constant term is negative 11, and my coefficients are 7, negative 9, and 1. I'm going to skip number 7. And I'm going to work on number 8. Now, here I've got 2 variables. That's still a variable term. That's still a variable term. So I've got m, 7mn, and negative m. Don't forget that subtraction sign goes along with that m. My constant term, I only have 1, is 12. And my coefficients, don't forget the imaginary 1s up here, are 1, 7, and negative 1. I'm going to skip number 9. I'm going to move right to number 10. I'm going to underline all of my variable terms, the terms with variables. So I've got r, negative 2s. Don't forget that subtraction sign goes with it as a negative. 2r and negative s. My constant is negative 8, and my coefficients, or the numbers with my variables, remember there's an imaginary 1 there in front of that r, so 1. I've got a negative 2, I've got a positive 2, and I've got a negative 1 in front of this s. Don't forget that. Now, what I want you to do is on your paper right here, write 2, 5, 6, excuse me, not 6, 7, 9, so you're going to attempt problems 2, 5, 7, and 9. You're going to need to complete those. So go on and turn over to the back page of your notes. Now, before you turn over to the back page of your notes, it's important. I want you to attempt 2, 5, 7, 9 first before you move to the back page. So go ahead and pause the video and fill out 2, 5, 7, and 9 before you move on. It's important that you make sure before you move on. Once you're done with that, click play and come on over to the back page. Now, what's important about this is now we're going to talk about combining like terms. Now, the word like means that something is similar, right? So you can simplify. Remember, simplify means, remember what we talked about simplifying before, an algebraic expression by combining like terms, and it's in bold for a reason. You can only, and this is important, put this at the top of your paper, you can only combine like terms. If they aren't alike, you cannot combine them. So what I want to do is we're going to combine common variables and common constant terms. What that means is, for a variable term to be alike, it has to have the same variable. For example, x, any terms with x, like x, 2x, are all like terms because the variable is the same. Now, it's not only that it has to have the same variable, it has to have the same exponent as well. Notice that there's no exponent here. That's why they're similar. Now, let's say that I have AB as my, let's say I've got 2AB. If I have 2A, this is not, even though they both have A in it, they're not alike. So these are not alike. They have to have the same sequence of variables and the same exponent. So if we were going to simplify this top equation, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to underline all my terms with one variable. It's very important that you continue to do this on your own as well. So I have a 9x, that's one term. This is a similar like term, and here's another like term. So the only thing I can combine, I'm going to combine 9x plus 16x minus x. Now my other like terms are my constants. I'm going to underline those twice. So then I've got minus 2 plus 8 plus 10. Now, what's important to note here is I haven't done any simplifying. All I've done is rewritten my like terms together. I expect to see that step in your notes. Now I can combine them. So 9 plus 16. So 9 plus 16 minus that 1, don't forget. So if I look at my calculator, now how we add and combine like terms is we add, if it's a variable term, we add the coefficients together. So I've got 9 plus 16 minus that 1. That gives me 24x. You're going to keep the variable there, you just combine things. And then I'm going to say negative 2 plus 8 plus 10, which gives me 16. So positive 16, so plus 16. This is my simplified answer. It doesn't look simplified, but that's as far as it can go. There are no more like terms that I can combine. What I want you to do is circle 12 through 26 even. And look at number 11. So if I look at number 11, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to underline all my like terms with a variable with 1 underline, and I'm going to underline my constant with 2. Now I'm just going to combine my like terms. 4p plus 4 plus 8 is 12p. 10 is by itself. There's nothing to combine it with. There's no other like terms, so that's my final answer. Remember, when I'm adding variable terms, all I'm doing is combining the coefficients. Just combining the coefficients. Now if I look at number 13, got a little 1 there in front of that A. Don't want to forget that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to underline all my like terms with a variable with 1. Then I'm going to underline all my constant terms twice. Now the first thing I'm going to do, my first step, is I'm going to rewrite all of my like terms together before I do anything. So that's going to be A minus 4A minus 7 plus 2. I haven't solved anything. I've just rewritten my like terms together. Now I'm just going to add my coefficients. So 1 of my like terms. Remember, I can only combine like terms. So 1 minus 4 is 3A. Negative 7, so negative 7, make sure that you're using your calculator properly when you're doing your negatives. Negative 7 plus 2 is going to be negative 5, so minus 5. And that is as far as I can simplify it. So I'm just going to box it in, and that's my final answer. Now, number 15, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to underline all my variable terms once and my constants twice. And I'm going to rewrite it with my like terms together. So x plus 4x minus 8x plus 4. Don't forget that subtraction sign goes along with that, what it's in front of. Now that I've just rewritten all my like terms together, I'm going to combine them. So remember, there's a 1 in front of the imaginary 1 in front of this x. So 1 plus 4. So 1 plus 4 minus 8 is negative 3. Remember, we're just combining the like terms, the coefficients of our variable terms. Then all I have left is plus 4 3x. So see, now I only have one of each type of like term. Okay? Moving on to number 17. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to underline all my variable terms with 1 underline. I'm going to underline all my constants with 2. My first step is I'm going to rewrite it with my like terms together. So 10b plus that 1b, don't forget there's an imaginary 1 there, plus 7 minus 14. Now I'm just going to come over here. 10 plus 1 is 11b. Add the coefficients, leave the variable. Plus 7 minus 14. Remember, order of operations. Negative 7, so minus 7. This is my final answer. I'm going to box it in. So steps to solve. The first thing you're going to do is underline variable terms once. Underline and we'll talk about what or twice means in a second. You can underline or box in or circle as long as it's different from what you use. What you use for your variable terms, so as long as you can distinguish the difference. Underline, box in, whatever you want to do. Your constant terms. Your third step is going to be to rewrite the expression with like terms together. You're going to have your variable terms first when you do that. Then you're going to add or subtract. Then you're going to add or subtract. And to add or subtract the coefficients of variable terms. Then you're going to simplify the rest. So 5 steps. So let's move on to number 19. I'm going to underline, following the first step, I'm going to underline my variable terms once. Now, if I look here, I've got, now I say or twice. If I look here, I've got A, B, and A. Now yes, they are all variable terms, but only A and 6A and 5A are the same. 2B is a separate term. They are not like terms. Remember, they have to have the same variable. 2B doesn't have the same variable. So that's a different one, so we're going to underline that twice. I'm going to decide to circle my constant terms here. Or box in or circle constant terms. Now I'm going to rewrite my third step. I'm going to rewrite my expression with the variables together. The variable terms go first. So I've got 6A plus 5A minus 2B minus 9 plus 7. Remember, these what I like to do is underline my constant terms 3 times. So if you want, you can say that. Underline 3 times, no matter what, and then you have room for your variable terms. So now, after I've done that, I'm going to add and subtract the coefficients of my variable terms, my like terms only. 6 and 5, that's 11A. I don't have any other B terms to combine, so minus 2B. Negative 9 plus 7 is negative 2. This is my simplified expression. It doesn't look simplified, but it is. Remember, it has to have, for it to be like term, the variables have to be exactly the same. Moving on to 21, I'm going to underline my variable terms. I'm going to underline my constant terms 3 times. Third step, I'm going to rewrite the expression with my like terms together, variables first. So negative 6x, remember that subtraction sign goes along with the 6 that is in front of. Minus 11x, same for the subtraction in front of the 11x. Minus 12 plus 5 plus 3. Now I'm just going to combine my like terms. Now, use your calculator. Make sure that you're using your calculator. Use your calculator. So I'm going to do negative 6 minus 11. That gives me negative 17x. Minus 12 plus 5 plus 3, negative 4. If you're using your calculator right, or if you have a personal scientific calculator, this is really going to come in handy. Make sure you're using your calculator and you're doing the negatives right. Now, number 23. I'm going to underline all my same variable terms once. I've got 2 more variable terms. I've got a b, so this one's different. 5c, that's a completely different one, so I'm going to underline that one 3 times. And in this one, I don't have any constants. So I'm just going to, now that I've done that, I'm going to rewrite the expression with my like terms and my variables first. When you write your variables, if there's different variable terms, you write them in alphabetical order. So my a is going to go first. So that's 1a, don't forget there's a 1 there, plus 4a. So you see how they're both underlined, 1 and 4. It helps if you underline your like terms in order on your own before you rewrite it. So 1a plus 4a, b is next, so minus 3b plus 5c. Now, I can only combine the 1a and the 4a, so that gives me 5a. There's no other b's, so I have to leave the minus 3b. There's no other c's, so 5c. This is my final answer. Okay, last problem on the page that we're going to do together is 25. I'm going to underline all my variables terms that are the same with 1. I've also got f, so I'm going to underline that twice. And I'm going to underline my constants 3 times. Now my third step, I'm going to rewrite the expression with my like terms together. So 10d minus 14d, making sure that I'm carrying that subtraction sign down, plus 5f plus 5 minus 12. If it helps you to mark them off as you go so you don't miss any, that's okay. 10d, this is very important that you put it in the calculator left to right. So put it in your calculator left to right. If you don't do that, you're not going to get the right answer. So I'm going to do 10 minus 14. That gives me negative 4d plus 5f, because I can't combine anything else with that f. There's no other terms with an f in it. Plus 5, so I'm going to do 5 minus 12. So minus 7. These take practice. You'll get the hang of it, but you have to practice. What I want you to do on your own is numbers 12 through 26 even. When you're done, make sure you're showing all your work. When you're done, come over and I will initial your work. Make sure that your answers are correct. After you've done that, you will move on to your exit ticket. If you have any questions, like I said, make sure you just pause the video. You can always review it and go back. All right? You guys are going to be great. Don't forget, you've also got 2, 5, 7, and 9 on the front to do. All right? Have a good day, guys. I'll see you in a little bit.